Welcome to the Neuromasters Podcast, the place to reinvent yourself, master your mind, and change your life. Internationally recognized speaker, coach, and trainer Reg Malhotra will teach you tools to improve your mindset, change your behaviors, and let your relationships thrive. Are you ready to unlock the power of your mind? Here's your host, Reg.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I want to talk to you today about making decisions. Decisions. We all need to make decisions. We all must make decisions. In fact, we make tons of decisions every day. However, there seems to be a problem. You see, a lot of people avoid making decisions, especially the important decisions. And how do you develop this muscle of making decisions? Because it's decisions that take us where we want to go, and it's decisions that can keep us stuck. So decisions can be very, very important in every aspect of our life. You see, what happens to decisions is we've all invariably made poor decisions in the past. We've all made decisions that have led to negative results or unwanted results. This can leave a real fear in us about making decisions. So what I want to say on that is, let's give this idea thought and contemplation, because if there is something you don't have in your life, or something you want more of and you don't have enough of, or something that you feel is problematic even, it is likely that has something to do with your decision-making criteria, your decision-making process. You see, decision-making, we're not really taught on how to make our decisions. A lot of people go with their gut feel. They'll go with what they think is right. People might make decisions based on what someone else says is the right thing to do. However, we must have our own decision-making criteria. I know this helped me a lot because I have a framework that I'm able to go to. So let me talk about my framework, and then I would encourage you in this episode that after listening to this, think about how have you been making decisions until now? What has been your criteria, and what changes do you think you can make to it to make yourself into an effective decision maker? So firstly, for me, I have a set of principles that I like to follow. A set of principles. I have these set of principles written up. They are principles that I live by, the principles that I run my life by, and they're principles that I can go back to at any time, right? And I consider those principles before I make a decision. Otherwise, you're just going to make a decision only based on your feelings. Then I have a look at where does this decision fit into. So in my case, I have what's called a quadrant, right? So I have 4 key areas of my life that I put in a category of those things that are the most important to me, 4. And so if a decision I have to make fits into any of those categories, then I am more likely to make a decision around that because it fits into one of those 4 categories that I've previously decided are the areas that require most of my life and attention. In fact, the way I set this quadrant out, 80% of my life energy is devoted to those 4 top areas, and the rest 20%, sit outside it, so they have a lot more flexibility. So that's the next thing, which is to have a quadrant, have a list of areas that you decide to prioritize, that you decide are important, and where your energy and time and resources should be going to. Thirdly, I believe in building your decision-making muscle. That is to say, start making small decisions fast. You see, if we develop a good muscle to make small decisions fast, it allows us to use that muscle to make medium decisions and then the bigger decisions. What are the things you think about when you make a decision, even about buying a sandwich? Do you have to go to multiple shops? Do you have to make a lot of changes? What specifically are you doing before you make that decision? Are you thinking about many different things before you make that decision? So with the smaller decision, what I'd recommend is having a set of criteria. Now, one of the things I have a 60% internal gauge. That is to say, if I'm feeling a 6 out of 10 on a particular idea or a decision, then I will go ahead, at least 60%, so 60, 70, 80, 90, then I will go ahead and make the decision and decide to deal with the consequences no matter what they are. You see, all decisions, good or bad, give us some lessons, they give us some learnings, they give us some insights, and they help us grow. Right? So having a gauge like that, 60%, is at least allows you to make the decision, and maybe 70% for you, but you have to really tune into your heart, and you really have to have some kind of internal measurement to feel that it is 60 or 70%. And then the other part of that is to be okay no matter what happens with that decision. Now, I would start doing that with small decisions until I become a reasonably fast decision maker. See, that's a very, very important thing that has helped me a lot in my life. I know that's allowed me to be more confident of my decisions in the future, because all decisions are right. Quite a lot of them do go right. A lot of them, one way or another, serve me. One way or another, move me forward. One way or another, release that stuck energy. So I would highly recommend having your own gauge on that as to what percentage do you need to feel okay. Of course, do your due diligence, of course. However, at some point, you don't need to have all your ducks lined. Are you currently wanting all your ducks lined in a row? Because I think that's a very, very good formula for suffering, right? Some of the greatest magic we have in our life happens when we go into the unknown. See, we go into the unknown. Think about your life. How many things you did which you weren't entirely sure of how they would end up, what would happen, but just the result of you being in that situation changes you. It would have changed you. You would have learned something, you would have experienced something. You would have actually become someone different to who you were before you made the decision. And I think that's the very, very exciting part about decision. You can see I'm so lit up about it. I know I used to be a serial procrastinator. I used to really struggle with making decisions. I used to take a lot more time. I used to double question myself. And these things take away a lot of our life energy. So I'm trying to make this easier for a lot of you listening, that there are of course the things that have happened in the past, right? We have limiting decisions. If you listen to my previous episodes, you'll hear about limiting decisions we made, or decisions that have led to negative consequences, and there have been a lot of negative emotions associated with that. And all that can be healed. There are ways to get that resolved. But in spite of that, you're still going to have to develop this muscle of making decisions and dealing with the consequences, because there's always something to learn, right? So what I would recommend is get on that journey, look at the smaller decisions. How much time are you taking? How much are you looking for in order to make that decisions? How much of that can you cut out now and start making the small decisions about what it is you bought from the supermarket, or what sandwich you're going to buy, and start in that place and start making those decisions. Continually make decisions like that until you get to a point where it's seamless for you, and that will allow you to make those medium-sized decisions and those really big decisions with a lot more certainty. And I think it goes without saying that the decisions you make in your life will determine the quality of your life, determine the outcomes on your life, and that's in any area of your life. So I would ask you to become a master decision maker. Make that decision today and implement this into your life straight away. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in today. Are you ready to take the next step and find out what's keeping you from reaching your goals and creating the life you want? Go to go.neuromastersacademy.com/GS-LP for a free transformational mini workshop with Reg. See you next week.